Bishop, this is the third movie you helped produce behind Woman Without Loose and Not Easily Broken. When you produce and get involved in producing a film, is it a situation where you try to tell the actors or the cast, your vision about the type of film that you're making, or does it just when you get involved, do you just put the pieces together prematurely and let it fall in place?
At the level that I became involved with this film, I have a contract called a first look contract with Sony. And that means that whatever I'm going to do on screen, they have the right to have first look at it. Through that first look contract, I have an agreement that they would underwrite the budget for the film. So when you start talking about Tracy, who knew a writer who had a script, came to, I think, Sony and pitched the deal, but I already have the deal. So then I came through my deal to do this project. And what our role is as producer, we don't really have to get down into the trenches of how a scene is played. That's the director. Our job is the business, the budget, the casting, the marketing, and the management of that product. And so everything that's been involved in that process, from the marketing of it to making sure that we stayed within budget, to working to, all of us had to agree on who was selected for the casting. We didn't do the casting, but we had to approve the casting. And so that was my role in it. And then I got to get in front of the camera and play a preacher for a few minutes and go on home. But my day-to-day responsibility is to try to make this movie the best movie that we can make with the budget that we have.
Gotcha. Now, as a minister and a co-movie producer, I mean, is it a challenge or is it a conscious effort to try not to cross the lines or to blur the lines between the two roles? How do you handle that when you're making a film?
I know that I have a brand as a minister that would not allow me to make a skin flick, okay? Right. That's going to be outside of the scope of something that I can do. A horror movie might be outside of the line of something that I'm supposed to do. So, again, you want to stay within the lines. But I do think that the lines allow a lot of room for, I'm not just a minister, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a guy, I'm a person. I'm an everyday person, and the struggle when people see you as a minister, they really do think that's all you are. They put a period right there. T.D. Jakes is a preacher, period. But I think God put a comma. Okay. I have other interests. I like music. I like drama. I like classical music. I like R&B. I like a lot of things other than just going to church. And so when people nuance you, they imprison you. And so this is one of the ways that I'm breaking through the bars and saying I like some other stuff too. And when they're throwing dirt over top of me, I want to look up at the dirt and say that I did what I wanted to do before I left.
Great. But when you talk about your brand, how pleased are you that when people hear that T.D. Jakes is helping make a movie, that you're able to draw people like the characters in this movie, the Angela Bassett, the Paula Pattons, all of the high-profile characters, the Loretta Devine. This is Loretta's second movie with you. How pleased are you to be able to draw that type of talent?
I see what you're saying. I'm very pleased to be able to draw that kind of talent to the process. And what's shocking to me is that the same thing that I just said about me, I guess I'm guilty of with them. I see an Angela Bassett or a Loretta Devine, and I don't know all the time that they are people and that they have lives and that they might listen at ministry or they know music or they know church. And so we got together. For instance, Angela, the first time I met Angela Bassett wasn't on the screen, it was at church. I was preaching at West Angeles and she was there in the service. And so our path, and particularly the Black community, this community is small enough that your paths are going to cross often, and that's why you want to build good relationships and you want to make friends, because if you make enemies, it's a small community, you're going to have enemies a long time and not many options. And I think that what we have to understand is that relationships are your greatest resource. When you lose relationship, you've lost the door to huge opportunities.
Are you determined, or are you anxious that this movie can help maybe enhance or revive maybe the institution of marriage within the black community?
I'm hoping that it'll help. You know, it might be a little bit aggressive to ask the movie to save marriages, but I'm hoping that it will help a little bit. I'm hoping that it will also bridge a breach between grassroots African Americans and upwardly mobile African Americans, because in the movie they get married from two different worlds.
Suburbians versus inner city.
Exactly, and that's a huge issue in our community.
That's a big gap.
And I think that we need to talk about that. There's a scene at the table where Loretta Devine's character says to her, "You're black. You're black." And what she means by that, her definition of black is limited to her experience. Yes. And I think that's been a real problem in our community, because we define blackness by where we grew up and what people thought on our block. Right. And blackness has escaped the parameters of that block. And we have to learn to find a way to embrace each other, even though we are growing increasingly different.
Just a couple more questions. I appreciate your time. There were some kind of like spiritual elements, or maybe more elements in the movie. How Las Alonzo character and Paula Patton's character decided to abstain from sex until they get married, and then some other matters too. I mean, was it important for you to kind of like drive on those type of messages into the film?
You know, it's a very interesting question, and to be honest with you, though Paula Patton's character is trying to be abstinent, her reason for doing so wasn't from a position of faith. Her reason for doing so is that she'd been passed around so much that she was tired of putting the cart before the horse. And she said, maybe I want to try this differently because I'm tired of where promiscuity is leading me. And I think that's an interesting conversation, whether you're a person of faith or not, to begin to say, maybe people are getting to know me physically and not internally. You understand what I'm saying? And there are a lot of reasons why we need to talk about the possibility of abstinence. Faith is one of them. But then there's disease is another one that's killing our community. Maybe we should talk about that a little bit. Then the other issue that we need to talk about is maybe when people know you physically first, they don't take the time to really drill down to know who you are outside of your physicalities.
Very good.
And what keeps you together as you get older. Or one of you has kidney failure, or one of you is handicapped. If sex is the only glue you have, then forever will never happen.
Gotcha. I know you're going to continue on with your ministry. Any more movie ideas coming down the pipe?
Well, there's more movies coming. There's a sitcom in the works. There's a sitcom that we're shopping around right now through a partnership that I have with another company. There's a Sacred Love Songs as a project that I'm getting ready to drop in the movie.
I meant to ask you to mention about that.
Yeah,
talk about that.
Sacred Love Songs is coming out, and it's a great. I did the first one, and even though it shocks people when I did the first one, it got a huge response. We've got Lettucey on this project. It's a singing with a Karen Clark shirt. Bishop Paul Morton is on this project. Michael Stampley. So Joe. It's a very diverse group of people, and what we are doing through this project is also singing about love again. When you and I grew up, they were singing about love. Right. Now they're just singing about sex.
Gotcha.
And we thought that maybe this will help to drive another nail into the whole concept of building back the family and relationships and stuff like that. Maybe we should go back to the old-fashioned stuff we grew up off of.
Well, when Laz said chivalry ain't, I mean, he brought back chivalry with his character in the movie. And now the songs, were they truly inspired by the movie, or they kind of like prearranged and just went along with the production of the movie?
They were inspired by the movie, but they're not the soundtrack of the movie. Now, Elder Barge's song is on here, and it's sung actually in the movie. But the songs about being inseparable speak to the glue that held the couple together. There's a song about don't go to bed mad, and the mother and father are sitting on the side of the bed trying to work out their differences. And there's some great songs that are harmonious with the themes of the movie, and that's why we wanted to drop it as close to the movie as we could.
Great. Okay. Bishop, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Congratulations on a great movie.
Thank you very much.